Hey, 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 ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brescher here. Today, all of the students are going to be learning about frequency tables. Not only will you be able to make a frequency table from a given set of data, but we will also learn how to analyze the data when it's displayed in a frequency table. This covers the Indiana Academic Standard 6.DS.2 and the Common Core Standard that you see below. All right, let's move on. So first we have a little illustration of a frequency table you can see over here. Why don't you take out your notebook and we'll take a few notes about what a frequency table is and what to put in each area. Go ahead and pause the screen. Once you have that notebook and you've written it down, then you can push play once again. Okay, first we're going to look at this frequency table itself. All right, and you've probably noticed already that the top area is like the title, or where you would put the categories that you plan to display in your frequency table. Moving on to the left kind of column over here, we can see it's the types of categories. So for example, this happens to be types of candy, okay? And along that column, we list the actual types of candy that we're going to be taking data for or collecting data about. Next, the middle category is the tallies. And you've probably seen the tally mark where you make a strike like this, and then when you get to 5, you make that slash mark. Okay, those are tallies. So we would keep the tallies in here, and maybe I make a 5 down there. And over finally in the last column, this is where we put the actual frequency. How frequently is this category showing up? So Snickers evidently showed up 6 times, 2 for Twix, 3 for Sweet Tarts, and 5 for Laffy Taffy. Now, anytime you want to know how many people are actually involved or votes that are being done, you should be able to look at the frequency and add all of these together to find the total. And in this case, the sum of those numbers would be 16. So, now, I know you've been seeing this hat sitting over here and probably thought I was going to pull a rabbit out. Well, you were absolutely right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next page. Now it's time for you to kind of make your own frequency table. We have here favorite candy and the types of candy, the tallies, and the frequency. So we have to pull into this magical hat and see what kind of candy we can pull out here. Okay? At the end, I want you to tell me how many students voted. See if you can read or interpret the data within our frequency table. Here we go. In the hat, up, and first out we get a Laffy Taffy. And another Laffy Taffy. Let's just put those kind of together. And next we have another Laffy Taffy. Holy cow. And another one. Those kids sure do like Laffy Taffy. Whoa! Lifted the whole hat out there. Alright, what do we have next here? Sweet Tarts. Another Laffy Taffy. Wow. Whoa. I'm going to pause the screen and pull the rest of these out of the hat, and then I'll unpause it so that you can collect the data and put it into your own chart on your own. Okay, go ahead and record your data into the frequency table. If we were doing this together, I would see that we have 5 votes for Laffy Taffy. So I would give 5 tallies for the Laffy Taffy and write that number in the frequency. Next we would do maybe Sweet Tarts. Here we have 3 for Sweet Tarts. 1, 2, 3 tallies and 3 in the frequency. Then we have Twix, which has 4, and 4 over here. And finally, Snickers, which has 6. Now, can you answer that question? How many students voted? If you guessed 18, you are absolutely correct. Now, what if each tally or each vote was actually 5 people that had voted for that particular type of candy? Then 6 would actually be equivalent to 30. And in all, we would have 18 times 5, which is 90 different votes. Sometimes you'll see a tally where they say that each tally is equal to 5 or 10 or 2 votes or something like that. So always make sure you read your directions. Let's look ahead at the next one. Favorite ice cream shops. We've got a lot of them here in Jasper, Indiana. And some that are just pretty close by, or pretty nearby, like the Dairy Barn. So, here are some random votes for different ice cream shops around here. We're going to make a frequency table. Go ahead and pause the screen and see if you can make your own. Then unpause it and we'll go through the data. So, how did you do? Libby's and Orange Leaf, it looks like, had the most votes. Again, they both have 7. This would be a very easy table to try to analyze and find out which one was the mode for that set of data. Do you remember what mode means? Yep, that means the most often occurring piece of data. Let's move on to the next one. Now it's your turn to practice on your own. Okay, I'm not going to give you the frequency table answer for this, but you can put this information into a frequency table. This would be an excellent example of how we might use it in real life. A teacher looking over a quiz or a test would write down all of the different numbers that students were missing, and then they could use the mode for that set of data in order to determine which problems were missed most often, and maybe try to look back at things that they could do better to help teach that, or things that the students maybe need to work on in that area. While you're doing this, I'd like you to think of how they could be helpful in finding the mode for the set of data. How could a frequency table be helpful? Also, what type of data is usually displayed on frequency tables? In this case, if you read this top part, we wouldn't need to find the range because the range in this set of data isn't important because it's talking about individual questions. Go ahead and pause the screen again, and once you get this complete, see if you can answer some of these questions. Moving on. And one final practice problem here. Student scores on a test. Make a frequency table of this one. And what can you tell me about this test based on the data after you made that frequency table? Pause the screen, and then we'll go over it. Okay, here we go. We're ready to begin. And right now, oh, that box just went right into that category, which was supposed to say scores by percentage. Okay. Student scores in the test. If we went ahead and filled in this frequency table here, we could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that would be 6 tallies for the 90 to 100% range. Okay, and we continue by counting the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tallies for the 80% range. And finally, 1 tally for the 79%. So when you look at this frequency table, what can you tell me about this test based on the data? Most of the students got A's or B's. Maybe you could tell me that the teacher must have done a great job teaching the lesson, or that the students really worked hard and paid attention, or maybe the test was too easy. So there's a lot of things that we can interpret by looking at the data. Just for a little challenge, I would like you to try finding the mean, median, and mode for this set of data. Make a real quick guess just by looking at your frequency table, and then actually solve it. Well, I hope this helped you out with frequency tables. See ya!